February 11, 1988, I received a call from Rabbi Krinsky, who said to me, "I assume you know that the Rebbitzin passed away yesterday." And I said I did. And then he told me that the Rebbe would like to see me. Would it be okay for me to come to see the Rebbe at his home on President Street? I said it would be my honor, and I would be there as soon as I could get there on the same day. I asked him, how did he get my name? And he said he got it from Nathan Lewin, who had been Chabad's attorney in the litigation over the books, the Sfarim that belonged to the organization. Nat and I had studied together at Yeshiva University and at Harvard Law School. And Rabbi Krinsky told me that Nat recommended me because he knew that I was considered to be an expert in estate law, and he also said, based on his own knowledge, that I'm an honest and honorable guy. So I was very honored that Rabbi Krinsky called me, and I rearranged my day and I went to see the Rebbe on President Street. When I arrived, the Rebbe asked all the other persons in the room to please leave, that he wanted to talk to me alone. And he told me that the Rebbitzin, who had died childless, did not have a will. And he asked me first, was that an avla? And I said, in view of the fact that he survives and he has an opportunity to make a will, it turned out that it's not an avla. But if he did not have a will, then it could be an avla. The Rebbe said to me, "I see you're a little uncomfortable." And I shrugged, and he said, "Is it because you're concerned that we're talking about this while I'm sitting Shiva?" I didn't respond, and the Rebbe said, "Well, let me assure you that it is exactly what I should be doing now, and I would like to continue." I said, "By all means." The Rebbe said that he wanted to leave all his property to Agudas Chasidei Chabad, and that he had no other desires with the property, not to any other people, not to any other organizations. I asked him, who would he like to be his executor after 120 if he were to pass away? And he said, Rabbi Krinsky. And I said, is Rabbi Krinsky to serve alone? And he said to me, is it necessary to have a second? I said, it's not necessary. I'm only offering you an alternative. He says, no, I would like him to serve alone. And then I asked, if something were to happen to Rabbi Krinsky, you should name alternates, substitutes. And the Rebbe gave me two other names. I think the first name he gave me as first alternate was Rabbi Avraham Shem Tov.
The second?
I don't recall the second at the moment. I have a copy of the will. We could take a look at it. When I arrived with the will, the Rebbe asked me to please read it with him. He says a Jew is not allowed to sign anything unless he reads it. So we went over the will, and he asked me one or two questions, but it turned out that everything that was written was exactly as he wanted it. I then told him we would need several witnesses to witness his signature and to sign on the page below his signature so that the will could be admitted to probate after 120. Sometime later, I don't remember the exact date, I was called by Rabbi Krinsky, who said that the Rebbe has an additional task for me to perform. The Rebbe wanted to revitalize the three main Lubavitch corporations, and he wanted me to please do it for him. I said, again, it would be my pleasure and my honor. The Rebbe then furnished me through Rabbi Krinsky with three separate lists: Agudas Hasidic Chabad, Machne Yisrael, and Merkaz L'Inyanei Chinuch. And in each case, he gave me the names of the people who were to serve as officers and what offices each was to hold, and the names of the directors or trustees of each. So I obtained the three certified copies, one for each corporation. I reviewed them, and I set up each list in a way that would be compatible with what was required for that corporation. In each one, incidentally, the Rebbe listed himself as a director, one of the directors or one of the trustees, as the case may be, and he also was listed as president of each. And through Rabbi Krinsky, he told me that in each case, he would be the last to sign. In a relatively short period of time, the lists were circulated, signed by all of the people whose names were listed, and ultimately signed by the Rebbe. His signature, of course, being an additional approval that this is as he wanted it. I asked the Rebbe, every corporation has members. Members vote to elect trustees or directors, whatever they're called in that organization. Who are the members of these three corporations? Is it every Lubavitcher you see in the street? Or is it the group somewhat more limited? He thought about it for a second, and he said that the same people who serve as directors or trustees should serve as members, they and nobody else. So that is the only legal question that I had, because in every other respect, his directions were 100% clear. And it's obvious that he knew exactly what he wanted. And when I asked the question, his answer was direct and forthright.
What are the ramifications of it?
Ramifications are that annually, when you have new elections of directors, the outside Hasidic or the outside Lubavitch world will not participate in those elections. Only the Rebbe's hand-chosen people and the successors that they themselves choose will participate in the process of electing future representatives. So officially, each of these corporations has now adopted this derech under New York law. Nothing could be simpler, nothing could be more vanilla, and in an age where we live with nisim that are hidden and not open nisim like the splitting of the sea, I understand very well why the Rebbe chose this derech. It was a brilliant stroke of thinking on his part. It was just brilliant.
Why?
Why? Because he managed to perpetuate his organization in the easiest way possible. If you recall what took place when other Gedolim have died in recent times, you know there were fights. You know there was Seder. And it was Chilul Hashem. And I'm sure that the tzaddik in each case would have been terribly upset to know what was done after he passed. In the Rebbe's case, not only did everything go simply and smoothly in the way he wanted it to go, but it continued to grow with greater speed. And we ordinary people, myself, the Rebbe's followers in Chabad, who are ordinary people, were able to take his initiative and to increase it 100-fold, maybe 1,000-fold. The shluchim are all over the world. They touch each and every spot. There is no spot that is untouched